Alright, grade 9. In today's session, we'll continue our revision about Unit 5. We have already spoken yesterday about the early Greece and the civilization that arose in that place. We have mentioned three of the most important civilizations in that era. The Minoans, after them the Mycenaeans, and later the Dorians. The Minoans were originated in the island of Crete, and they built a huge and magnificent palace at Knossos. The Mycenaeans, they came after the Minoans, and they controlled the trade routes between Europe and Mesopotamia and also Egypt. And they even expanded their trade routes to include both Italy and Sicily. The Dorians were great fighters who came from the north, and they were originated in some of the city-states like Sparta, Argos, and even Thebes. And later they started to have the Trojan War along with the Mycenaeans and ended the Mycenaeans' reign. After them, we have already started speaking about some of the city-states of the early Greek civilization, and we said that geography has already shaped the Greek city-states because of the geography of that era or that place. Once again, geography always plays an important role for the people. If you come to Greece here, you will find out that around 80% of the whole land is about mountains. 80% of the land. Consequently, that helped a lot in just isolating the city-states. So for the landscape, it formed like natural barriers among those city-states. For example, if you talk Athens, you'll find out that you have here the heart of the city. Here you have the Eurasian and Mediterranean Sea, and in this place you have a mountainous region, and also here mountainous region. So all of these mountains acted like a natural barrier in order to separate that city-state from any other city-state. And of course, the same is to be applied to the other city-states, like for example, the city-state of Sparta. If you moved here to Sparta, you will find out that Sparta is literally in between the mountains. So that's the mountains, and all of these mountains have helped a lot in isolating the city-state. So we can say that the landscape has already formed a political border among the Greek city-states. And once again, city-state means each city having its own governmental system and its own army and its own king. And for the governmental system, it can be a monarchy, it can be aristocracy, or it can be oligarchy. The monarchy, once again, meaning that when you have power in the hands of one man, which is the king or the queen. The aristocracy, the power lies in the land holding elite people, just a few group of people, and for the oligarchy, the power is in the hand of a small wealthy elite. So, more than aristocracy. New ways that shapes the Greek people. For the shaping of war or the action of war, of course, the Greek people, they were very, very excellent in using their military skills. We have, for example, two of the most important cities that arose in that place. The city-state of Sparta, of course, Sparta, because of their location on land. Sparta, as you can see, it's on land. So there is no water around them, but it's a little bit far. Consequently, the Spartan people, they excelled in using the on-land fighting and on-land war. And they even invented a specific technique called the phalanx technique. The phalanx technique, when all soldiers stick together, so shoulder by shoulder, and all of them defending the one next to them. So simply, your whole life is totally dependable upon the one next to you. So this man protects this man, and this man protects this one, and this one protects this one. That's called the phalanx technique. For the first row, all of the spears are gonna be just directly headed toward the enemy. For the second, the spears are up, and for the third are even higher, so that each one of the enemy once coming, the first row is gonna just defend them and kill them. If one of the first row fell and was killed, someone from behind can take his place, and that technique is called or titled the phalanx technique. And actually it was used by the city-state of Sparta when the Persian tried to invade them. When the Persians tried to invade Sparta, they came from this place. They had the ships here in this place, and the only way that can lead to Sparta is just that small, small between the two mountains here. Okay, this place here. So 300 men of Sparta stood between those two mountains, and they stopped an army of 1,000,000 soldiers for many days. And actually that was one of the most epic wars in the history of mankind. Not only the history of the Greek people, but the history of mankind itself. So once again, we have three types of government. Monarchy, we have only one ruler, king or queen. Aristocracy, the land-holding upper class, the most elite people. The oligarchy are the small, wealthy, elite people. And up till today, these three types of government are to be used in our day. The next point is to speak about the discipline and welfare in Sparta. To speak about the discipline and welfare of Sparta, simply, the Spartan men, they had a very unique way and style of life. Those people were chosen since the moment of their birth. Once they are born, they are to be put on a mountain, and of course it's freezing. If the child is to survive, then he's gonna be a very strong soldier, and they can take him and raise him. On the other hand, if he died, that's it for him. For the first 7 years, the boy is to be set with his parents. At the age of 7, boys began training for a lifetime in the military. So all men in Sparta, all men, not just a few of them, no, all men in Sparta must train for the army. They moved into something called barracks, like a small groups of people in order to train the child or the children. So they moved into barracks where they were taught by a course diet. Later, at the age of 20, they are to marry and live another 10 years in the barracks, and at the age of 40, they can enter the council or the assembly. For the Spartan women, we can say that the Spartan women held much more rights and responsibilities than any other women at that time, as all men of Sparta were just occupied by the idea of war. Consequently, the women inherited property, and also they ran the family's estates, the business of the family. For citizens and non-citizens, the Spartan people did not allow anyone to give or to have their citizenship unless you have already been acknowledged as a Dorian man coming from the north. Because once again, we go back here to the Dorians ascended from the north and resided or sat at the city-states of Sparta. So the Spartan people only gave those who came from the north their citizenship. Sparta stands alone, of course, because Sparta had a very unique way of life. The Spartan people isolated themselves from the other city-states of Greek. They thought that we don't need anyone from actually those cities. All of them just seeking money, wealth, just something that we Spartan people we do not want. all the Spartan people, we only seek one thing, which is glory, to defend our city-state, and that's what we need. So, and actually because of their location, as you can see, that's Sparta, and everything around it is just mountains. So natural barriers around it. So they just isolated themselves from other city states, and no one from the Spartan men was allowed to marry from anyone outside of Sparta, and even they did not trade with them. So the Spartan isolated themselves from other Greeks. They also looked down on the trade and wealth and forbade their own citizens to travel and had little use for new ideas or the art. All their life was about one thing, the military. For the democracy and the city-state of Athens. On the other hand, not like Sparta, Athens actually they took great interest in life and they wanted to develop their own life. Consequently, people in Athens started to have democracy. Democracy meaning to be run or to be held by more than one person, not only one king. Not only one king can tell us what to do or what not to do. All men are equal and all of them share responsibility. Consequently, Athens was located in the Attica, just north to the Peloponnesian or Peloponnese. As in many Greek city-states, Athenian government evolved from a monarchy into an aristocracy, from being controlled by one king into some elite land-holding people. The noble landowners held power and chose the chief officials. Nobles also judged major court cases and dominated the assembly. For the discontent, of course, some people in the city-state of Athens, they were very discontent. They did not like the way that only some people can rule us over others. Consequently, those discontent people assigned Solon in order to make some reforms. Solon himself, we can call him, or nowadays we call him the lawgiver. The lawgiver, Solon the reformer, or Solon the lawgiver. Because Solon has put some of the most important rules and laws for the Athenian people. These laws and rules were to be taken for many, many years, and actually they have already reformed and fixed the Athenian society. But unfortunately, another man wanted to have control also, and we had the title tyrants. Tyrants means the people who gained power by force. Tyrants, they just wanted to have power, and although that the people who gained power by using force, they helped the people a lot, yet the title itself was a very bad one. So to speak about Solon, he won number one, cancels existing debts and outlawed debt slavery, granted the poor right of appeal and also appoint high official to more citizens and grant citizenship to some foreigners, and but the wealthy remain in power. Okay. For the citizens who shared power in Athens, of course, all the people in Athens, they shared power by something called the assembly or the council. The people in the city-state of Athens, most of them, they just attended a council, and the council was meant so that all people in Athens shall share their opinions and give their opinions about anything in the country and what to be happening. For democracy within limits, of course, democracy has already arose to a high levels in that city-state, apart from other city-states of the Greek city-states. The city-state of Athens, or Athenia, as we call it in Greek, actually they have arose to a level that no other city-state has ever taken that position. So by modern standards, they are quite limited, and that's an important point. By our modern Athens was quite limited, but to the people back then, of course, it was very, very different back then. Okay. Sorry for that pause. I had a phone call from Mr. Abdul. So once again, the democracy in Athens, for our standards nowadays, the democracy in Athens, it was very, very quite limited. On the other hand, for the Athenian people back then, no, they held much more democracy than any other city-state in the early Greek civilization. Okay, and women, unfortunately, they were excluded from political activities, even if their families were Athenian citizens or even wealthy ones, because actually the Athenian men, they thought that only the position for the women is at home. No women are supposed to go out, and that takes us to the Athenian women. So, on the contrary to the Spartan women, the Athenian women, they did not have that responsibility or that rights as the Greek women did, the Spartan women did. For educating the young, also the same here. Men always try to educate the young boys, not the girls. Only the wealthy families try to educate the girls in homes, not out in schools. For the forces for unity, guys, I'm just moving so fast. So if you just don't understand anything, stop me. Okay, we have already covered that before, and we still have plenty to be covered. So if there anything that you need me to repeat again, just ask me, write in the chat or raise your hand or say anything. Okay?
Okay.
So after speaking about democracy in Athens and the state of Sparta, we come to one important point, which is forces for unity. Of course, we have known that the city-states in Greek, they were all of them separated and all of them lived isolated from each other. That's the title of city-state. But unfortunately, at one time, there are some bonding between those city-states. The bonding actually lies in several occasions. The first occasion and the most important occasion is the Greek myth and the Olympic Games. The Greek myth and the Olympic Games. So, one point or one common ground to be agreed upon is that all the Greek city-states, they lived isolated from each other. And by living isolated, so sometimes the Spartan people will attack their neighboring people. Okay, they will attack Caesarea, for example, or Argos, or Thebes, or Athens. They will just attack each other because, after all, they are just nothing but city-states. Yet, on the other hand, all of the people in the early Greek civilization, they were polytheistics. Polytheistics meaning that they believed in more than one god or worshipped many gods. And by worshipping many gods, they had myth and beliefs. Myth, something that is not real or not true, but we inherited from our great grandparents. So for the myth of those people, they believed that there is a council of gods and goddesses, and they live on the mountain of Olympia, Mount Olympus, in the city state of Olympia, or the valley of Olympia. And for that legacy, all of them believed those gods have intervened in their own life, and they can affect their own life. Of course, this is not nonsense, and that's not. But once again, those people, they believed in that. Each 4 years, they had what is being called the Olympic Games, and the Olympic Games are still to be practiced in our day today. So the Olympic Games, they just have been held each 4 years, and while being held, all the people from all of Greece, not only one or two city states, but all of Greece, all of the people try to do what, try to contribute in that games, so that they can bring honor to their own city state. Imagine that Riyadh against Jeddah or Mecca or Asir or any other city inside Saudi Arabia. You are trying to represent Riyadh in one specific game, and the other man from Jeddah is trying to represent Mecca, and vice versa. So the Olympic Games, they were a unifying force among the Greek city-states, and they were held each 4 years in the honor of Zeus. And Zeus is the chief god for the Greek people. And of course, they were held in the Valley of Olympia, as it was believed that Zeus and the other gods and goddesses lived in the or in a temple upon Mount Olympus. For the Greek view of foreigners, although that the Greek themselves, they start learning from outer civilization like the ancient Egyptian, Mesopotamian people in Italy and also Sicily, yet they considered anyone who did not speak their own language as a barbarian person. So the barbarians included people, Phoenician and Egyptian, and from the Greek point of view, anyone who did not speak their language or a non-Greek speaker, he is a barbarian. For the Greek wars with Persia, we shall consider that starting from tomorrow. Tomorrow you have quiz, right?
Yes.
Okay, if you have any question, or if there any part that is quite hard for you, or you cannot even understand alone, just send me a message on Clasera and make it an urgent one. Go to the mailbox and compose and make it high. The priority of it, make it high, and send it to me today. If there's anything in your curriculum that you need me to revise for you.
Teacher,
Okay.
12 pages is very much.
I beg your pardon?
12 pages is very much for the quiz.
It will what very much?
Yes, 12 pages.
Only 12 pages for the quiz?
Yes,
And that's great for you, I think.
but it's hard.
Oh. Why that?
Because
From where to where actually the quiz is gonna be?
269 to 280. From the Ottomans and Safavids.
The Ottoman and the Safavid Empire.
No, from the achievements of Muslim civilization.
Achievement of Muslim civilization, economic and social changes, diffusion, trade in the Muslim world, high demand for manufactured goods, spreading of products and ideas, agriculture flourishes. Okay, I think I may assign you a worksheet today.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so have no worries, guys. And once again, if you have any question or anything you need me to revise, just tell me and send me a message on Classera, and I shall assign you a video or something for explanation. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, boys. Enjoy your day and see you tomorrow. Bye.
Okay, teacher.